Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
All right, y'all. Since Donald Trump came into office, he's been changing a lot of things, and the Civil Rights Department has changed dramatically. There are no Black men or women attorneys in the Civil Rights Division at all. All of the attorneys are miraculously all white. And Donald Trump is trying to put out here that, white people can sue for discrimination because the civil rights movement hurt white people the most. This is what he's saying. And I said, how the hell can you be hurt by the civil rights movement? What you mean, the Klan? Because who would be hurt by the civil rights movement? So, anyway, we know he spent his time getting rid of, especially the women in our community. And he's been doing all sorts of things that we're aware of, like trying to get our history taken out and scratched out of existence. And, a lot of people are taking notice. So I want y'all to hear what folks are saying. But Donald Trump pretty much wants the Civil Rights Division in this country to defend whites only against discrimination, that are being discriminated against. And I don't know. I'm not seeing all these white people out here being discriminated against. I'm just not seeing it. And I don't believe Donald Trump is seeing it either. But this is what's going on. So let me share my screen so we can get started. Please give me a 1 if you can see my screen. Thank you.
Has just effectively legalized segregation for federal contractors by signing an executive order to remove a civil rights era ban on segregated areas like drinking fountains, transportation, and housing. Even though the Civil Rights Act still makes segregation technically illegal, the federal government is ultimately responsible for its enforcement and investigation into any violations. And Trump signing this order is a clear message that the government will not step in. A spokesperson for the General Services Administration was quoted referring to the prior ban on segregation as a, quote, damaging policy of the past administration. Several federal agencies have already begun recognizing these changes, including the Department of Homeland Security and the National Institute of Health, both of which have issued notices advising employees not to consider the prior segregation ban going forward. This is
proof that Donald Trump and this administration are just racist. The president of the United States, in an interview, said that he believed that civil rights era protections resulted in white people being very badly treated. That is his strongest indication that the concept of reverse discrimination is driving his aggressive crusade against diversity policies. He said this to the New York Times in an interview on Wednesday, and he echoed grievances amplified by the Vice President of the United States, J.D. Vance, and other top officials who in recent weeks have urged white men to file federal complaints with the Equal Opportunity Commission. Now, get this, okay? When asked whether protections that began in the 1960s spurred by the passage of the Civil Rights Act had resulted in discrimination against white men, Mr. Trump said he believed a lot of people, this is a quote from him, a lot of people were very badly treated. Another quote, white people were very badly treated, where they did extremely well and they were not invited to go into university to college, he said, an apparent reference to affirmative action in college admissions. So I would say, his quote again, in that way, I think it was unfair in certain cases. Donald Trump, not even whispering anymore, not even saying the quiet part out loud. He is screaming the quiet part out loud. This is a racist administration.
Donald Trump continues to prove that he is a pathetic, mediocre, dementia-having racist that's robbing America blind. This diaper-wearing degenerate says something so asinine I had to address it. Catering to his white nationalist base, he said that civil rights led to white people being very badly treated. Let's see if I really understand this. So by giving other people opportunities to live and get crumbs, it hurt white people. It hurt the people who raped, murdered, and cannibalized Africans. It hurt the people who put blankets on Native Americans and gave them smallpox. It hurt people who gave black men syphilis. It hurt people who got over 200 years of free labor and millions of acres of free land. It hurt people who hold 85% of CEO positions. It hurt people who commit the most crimes but are convicted the least. It hurt people who wear sheets and terrorize black people just for minding their own business and trying to live. It hurt people who burned down towns and lynched people for no reason. It hurt pedophiles who traffic children all over the world to have sex with billionaires and politicians. That's who civil rights allegedly hurt, huh? So now let's talk about what it actually did, okay? Because civil rights didn't give black people an advantage. It removed some barriers. It didn't take anything away from white people. It stopped exclusive access to certain things. Affirmative action didn't hand out success. It was supposed to crack open doors that were legally and violently shut. And DEI was supposed to be about acknowledging that talent exists everywhere. But ironically, the group that benefited the most was not black men, not black women, white women. Yet here we are, watching mediocre white men rage at the idea that the playing field is no longer tilted entirely in their favor. They are so fragile, so entitled that equality feels like oppression. Fairness feels like loss. Sharing crumbs feels like theft. These people have not been harmed. What has changed is that mediocrity is no longer enough to automatically shut other people out. Whiteness is no longer a guaranteed access pass to every room they feel entitled to. And that loss of automatic privilege, it feels like oppression. History never lied, but America does. Now drop a black fist in the comments and share this with someone who needs to hear this Black History gem.
So, Donald Trump is racist as hell, as you all know, and his administration is a white supremacist administration. In their twisted mind, civil rights has been to the detriment of white people. As far as they are concerned, white people are the victims. There's a very important article I encourage you all to read. This is an article in the New York Times entitled "Donald Trump Says That Civil Rights Led to White People Being Treated Very Badly." I encourage you to read that article. In that article, it talks about how Donald Trump was asked whether or not certain protections that have been in place as a result of the Civil Rights Act and certain protections in the 1960s, whether or not those protections led to discrimination against white men. And he basically said yes. And I'm paraphrasing here, but he went on to talk about how white people were treated very badly. He talked about how despite having certain accomplishments or whatever, when it came to college admissions or university admissions, they were denied certain opportunities. Also, this article points out how J.D. Vance, the current vice president, and other officials in the Trump administration have encouraged white men to file complaints with the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. And this article goes on to talk about how Donald Trump complained about anti-white feelings in this country. And he complained about this following the Black Lives Matter protests and demonstrations. So this tells you the framework that the Trump administration is operating under. They view white people as victims. They view civil rights as something that has been detrimental to white people. And what they are doing now is they are trying to flip civil rights laws and use them to protect white people. They're using them to portray white people as victims that need to be protected. So that's part of the reason why they are doing everything that they can to dismantle diversity, equity, and inclusion. And as this Trump administration is trying to limit who can come to this country, who can immigrate to America, they have expanded opportunities for white people to become citizens in this country. And the most blatant and obvious example of this is them opening the doors to white South Africans while closing the doors of immigration to people of color. They want to restrict immigration for people of color while expanding opportunities for white people to come to this country. So this is this article tells you everything that you need to know about this Trump administration. It helps explain the motivations behind this racist Trump administrations. And if you don't understand what's going on at this point, I don't know what else to tell you. As I see this Trump administration declaring all-out war on our civil rights, I can't understand how in the hell any Black person in their right mind can find themselves supporting this administration. And
when Donald Trump comes out and says that civil rights is hurting white people, what he's really saying is equality is your enemy. So answer me this. When did equality become harm? Because somebody convinced you that you're supposed to be on top of somebody else. And when you start to question the hierarchy, they start to tell you that you're under attack. And this is how the buffer class is built. Not the elites, not the billionaires, but regular white folks. This is what you're told. You're told that the problem isn't the ones that's hoarding all the wealth. You're told that it's Black people, that it's immigrants, that it's women, that it's the LGBTQ. So instead of punching up, you punch to the side because civil rights did not take your job. In fact, civil rights, they didn't crush your wages. And civil rights damn sure didn't ship the factories overseas because blaming marginalized people keep you from asking the question. And that question is, why are the same elites winning no matter who's in office? If equality starts feeling like oppression to you, it's because privilege finally stopped being invisible. And if you're mad at the people at the bottom instead of the people at the top, congratulations. You're doing exactly what the system has trained you to do.
Okay, so essentially all Donald Trump did was take all the diversity out of the civil rights division, made it all white, and opening the doors for white people to sue for discrimination. But if discrimination happens to me and you, nothing will get done. They don't care about what happens to us, only what happens to white people. That's it. So that's the changes Donald Trump made to the civil rights division under his administration. So anyway, y'all, nobody should be shocked over this. I personally, the civil rights that I see, I have never been around anybody that have been deeply hurt by it. The only ones I can see that it bothers are, your Klansmen and your white nationalists and stuff. Oh man, get over yourself. At the end of the day, y'all ain't been harmed by nothing. That's all a bunch of BS. And Donald Trump knows it too. So y'all, I'm going to go ahead and conclude. I do have one more live coming up at 3:45, and we're going to be talking about the Nolan Wells police report. So we're going to get to that today at 3:45. So I thank you all for being here. I thank you for your support. And I will see you at 3:45. And don't forget to pick up your hair products. Shalom, family.